Pokemon Xenoverse is a fan game created by Team Weedle and was finished earlier this year. I've heard a ton of good things about this game, and it is probably the most requested one so far. At the start of the game, you can decide if you want to play with an automatic XP share, like in the newer games like Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield, or play it the old way. As I intend to not spend too much time grinding, I went with the modern way. To decide if we play as a boy or a girl, and how we call our character, we witness how we get born, and how our dad makes his decisions. Here we meet Clover, our mother, for the first time. That is how being born works. 5 years go by and our father takes us outside the house. Here we see some flowers, little bit of water, some milk tanks, and most importantly, 3 Pokeballs that might perhaps contain our starter. We can choose between Tri-Shout, the fire and sound dual type, Shulong, the water dragon, or Shy Leon, a grass fairy type. I do like dragons and went with the water starter, but going with Tri-Shout and the sound type might have been a good choice too. This wholesome moment gets interrupted by a Tyranitar that attacks our father, and then we wake up from this nightmare. We go downstairs and our mom wishes us a happy birthday and feels bad for us because our dad is not here today. Or in the past 10 years. It turns out that the nightmare we just woke up from was not a nightmare, but past events instead. As any normal child, the idea comes to mind to leave the house and search for our dad, who just wanted to get some milk and never returned. This thought is not welcomed, and so we use the 200 IQ strat and jump out the window, letting the tree break our fall. Free to go, we visit our grandpa's grave and talk to Grandma. She happens to just stand around the place, but let's not question that. We are prompted to learn how to catch Pokemon and are forced to get an encounter. Here we catch a level 2 Weedle just because we can. At this point I have to say that the menu design looks clean. Definitely a more pleasant look than other fan-made games out there. Our mom shows up and we enter the first battle. Our Shulong against her Jigglypuff. This fight is an easy victory and we level to 6, learning Twister. What surprised me a bit was that this game has achievements. I did not expect that. Some small talk later and we receive running shoes. Next we head north and catch a Zigzagoon as well as a Yemen, a fighting normal type that we might use later on. A battle with the first trainer later and he gives us this tip. If we don't want to battle, we can just avoid eye contact. So let's test this. So that was a lie. 1 win later and we catch a Sparkowl. Interesting type combinations they got here. On Route 1 we meet Eddie for the first time. He stands in front of a Pokemon den, which is like a little hideout in which a rare candy is stored. In order to enter a Pokemon den, you need a certain type of Pokemon. Using our Shulong and we can make it inside. In here we can walk around as our Pokemon and have to avoid being seen by the Rattata guarding the item. Walking straight up is enough and we receive the rare candy. If you were to be spotted by the Rattata, this happens. A couple trainer battles later and we make it to Hat Dwarf City. A place for peace, and yet this dude is looking at us like we don't belong. Inside the Pokemon Center we find the Pokemart, and please take a second to appreciate the overview of items. This looks so good. Up the street we go and see how multiple trees are on fire, like a summer in California. Astra, the guy we're supposed to meet in this town, shows up and extinguishes the fires with his Suicune. Unexpected, but sure, why not? You got a legendary. He recognizes us as an old friend and we learn about X Pokemon, mysterious Pokemon that started appearing not too long ago in this region. Astra leaves but gives us the hint to go to the Stardust Beach near Route 2. A couple minutes later we meet Astra again at the beach and get a Xeno Ball, which is used to capture Xeno Pokémon. He heals our team and we start the battle with a Xeno Elekid. Xeno Pokémon have more than 1 HP bar, making this actually challenging. After pressing the A button a couple dozen times, we get it low, but it manages to take out 2 of our team members. Eventually, the bird gets the job done and we get yet another achievement. Now to the first gym. At barely level 7, I was wondering if we enter this place too early, and I was somewhat correct. In the first battle, I almost lose to an Oddish and a Morlul. Thanks to Weedle, I managed to not faint though. A turn of events I think I could never have imagined, Weedle being useful. Weedle evolves to Kakuna and we spent the next 20 minutes grinding in order to defeat the gym. While doing so, I encountered this thing which looked pretty good. Oh, and I caught a Dwebble because it looked kinda cute. I also learned that you pick up items held by wild Pokemon after defeating them. That's a nice addition to the game. But now back to the gym. Let's face the leader and see how our first attempt at a gym battle in Xenoverse goes. This ancient oak might be harder than I expect. He opens the battle with a Morlul that really does not do much. Couple packs later and it's down. However, here's where the fun starts. Just not for us. The second and final Pokemon he sends in is a Spiritomb. Now you know how Spiritomb looks like normally, right? Well, his looks like this. After some hits and a revive on the bird, Spiritomb goes down and we receive the first gym badge. Also a little after the gym, I did make use of the mystery gift menu in the game. A couple known Pokemon creators like A-Drive or Munching Orange have their own mystery code, which grants you a shiny bug, shiny Litten, Totodile, Absol, and even an Igglybuff for free. They will be sent to your PC, and I included all working codes in the description down below. Just copy paste them into the game one by one and they should work. It should be noted that a couple codes that I found online were no longer valid, but the ones down below, they do work. And I think before I show a lot more of the game and potentially spoil things, we should talk about the pros and cons in Pokemon Xenoverse and make it a quick video because I'm convinced to keep on playing this. And you might be too, so let's take a look at the upsides. As every game on this channel so far, this game is free. You just gotta download the game from the official site, link for that down below, and you can start playing. The design for the menu for items you purchase, basically the entire thing, looks so clean. It's like an HD version of your favorite Gen 4 games. Then despite this game being in its own emulator, so you don't get a ROM which you put into like Desmume or the Citra emulator, but you play it on its own program, own application, this runs better than other emulators. Battles still lag a little bit, but overall, the performance is really good. What I didn't fully get to explore were the new types in here. Tri-Shout, one of the starters, the fire type, is part sound. I don't know what that means, but it would be interesting to find out. When you start the game and you can decide between the old or the new rule set when it comes to getting experience, I have to admit that that is a great addition to the game. Because I'm the type of guy that doesn't enjoy grinding that much, so having the option to just have an automatic XP share for the entire team to make it really easy makes the gameplay for me more enjoyable. There are probably multiple different additions in the game itself and little details, but the Pokemon Den that I found earlier in the forest, that's pretty cool. You can walk around as your own Pokemon, like in Mystery Dungeon. You can avoid other Pokemon. This is pretty fun. And lastly, it's great that there are mystery gifts from content creators, and you get shiny Pokemon for free. They are all level 5, and if you use them, you get like a water type, a fire type, and a couple others, so if you try to use them, make sure you plan ahead when it comes to choosing your starter. I did get a shiny Totodile, which I didn't end up using because I already chose the water starter. If I would have picked the leaf starter, this would have been a different story. Like any game out there, there are a couple negative things about this game too. But really just a couple, because it was really hard to find what I dislike about this game. And those were all just quality of life things that can be improved quite easily. To start with the first thing, you can't change the controls. Whenever I play a ROM hack, I use a PlayStation 4 controller just because it's more comfortable to hold and to play the game while laying back in your chair. In here you have to use your keyboard because the program I used for my controller did not work with Xenoverse. You might need to use something like Joy2Key if you use the controller too, or something similar. It just didn't work for me. And the problem about the controls were I prefer using W, A, and D over the arrow keys to walk around, and you can't change that. At least there's not an option to just press a different button. At the beginning of the game you get the running shoes, but there's no option to just turn them on constantly. Even Heart Gold and Soul Silver had the option to just constantly run without pressing a button. Which makes me wonder, why does this game give us the option to have the modern or the standard XP rule set, but not the option to just constantly run? Another thing that is missing is there's no option to fast forward the game. Whenever you play on an emulator, you can like 4x or 10x the speed of the game to play a lot faster, and when you mindlessly grind, then might as well speed up the game. That option doesn't exist here. At least there's no button and no function to do that manually in the game. But yeah, all of those points are really just some quality of life changes I wish to see, but nothing that ruins the game experience. In all honesty, from all the fan-made games I played so far, this was probably the most fun in the beginning that I ever had. And I will definitely keep on playing this game and maybe make an updated video or like a catch 'em all series because there are 400 Pokemon in here and a bunch of legendaries. And so far, it's really fun. So I would say, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe and let me know what you think about Xenoverse. And until next time, take care.